Hoji Alimi is the CEO of Oculus Innovative Sciences, a company that I covered when we first came on the scene. There was a lot of controversy about your company in regards to the fact that people were saying, well, what is this? Is it diluted bleach? Is it a real biotech play even? Or is this a scam? Unfortunately, a lot of people still have a lot of those questions, but here we are now. How many FDA clearances later?
The technology has 7 FDA clearances.
7 FDA clearances. Many people are saying this thing will never get cleared by the FDA. Here we are. It's a product that has many different applications in many different fields, and you know the story better than all of us. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You've gone from a development play in the biotech space to now a commercialized play.
Yep.
So the question is, when will this company start generating revenues and become a successful commercialized play?
Well, let me tell you what really excites me about 2012. As we sit here today, there are 2 major product launches happening. One is by a significant drug player. It's called Amneal Pharmaceuticals. They are privately held company, but over 1,000 employees. They're one of the fastest growing generic drug companies in the United States, and they acquired the derm division. And as part of that, they in-licensed the use of our technology, which was cleared, going back to the FDA clearances, for treatment of atopic dermatitis and radiation dermatitis. This is a significantly large market. That's number 1. 2, our product is their number 1 product in their bag. So they are spending significant amount of resources launching this product in the dermatology market. And I enjoyed actually going to one of the conferences, seeing the reaction of the dermatologists after using this product. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was positive. They're energetic when they give responses back. The second thing is at least 6 SKUs are getting launched in US hospitals as of this month by Eliquis, branch of Ferndale. And so this is another large partner. So let me go back and answer your initial question. I'm a scientist, and usually when you talk to science guys, they really like to get into the molecules and arguments and whether this is bleach or is not, or where the carbons are. I think that's all behind us. Let's put that aside. This is a commercial story, and just common sense. If it was diluted bleach, we wouldn't have multi-billion or large pharmaceutical companies such as Amneal come in and partner with us, or Eliquis spending. Our operating expenses are $12-13 million a year. They were spending 3-4 times that much a year. All our partners in combination in the United States launching our product this year. So beside that, I mean, we can always go back and talk about 14 issued patents, and our patents are ruled in our favor by federal court and all that. But let's just put all that aside. Just think commercial. I mean, this is truly an exciting year for Oculus. So 2 product launches this month. We are in midst of discussing a potential drug opportunity and drug deal for treatment of acne with Amneal Pharmaceuticals, and many more catalysts this year, which I'm sure we're going to get into in this interview.
Great. So what you're saying, Hoji, is that there is the possibility now. You're basically, I think, a break-even company, correct, now?
We got to EBITDA break-even at the end of the quarter ending September of this year.
Okay.
For that quarter, and then there's a seasonality. We are very close to break-even.
So now the fundamentals are going to be, you're going to be a successful, theoretically, a successful commercially launched biotech product manufacturer. Unlike a lot of biotech companies that you're talking about, a lot of people doing a lot of work cooperatively and so forth to make things happen. This all started with almost with one person kind of taking this idea and running with it in the laboratory. And now we've got this, on the verge of being commercially successful company. You've gone through the laboratory process, you've gone through the FDA clearances and so forth. But this all starts back as sort of a great American success story. Tell us a little bit about that story.
I think it's an American story in a sense that if I can go 2 pages back and then I'll move forward, is I came to US, I don't know if you know, when I was 16 years old, not speaking a word of English. Went through high school, and literally I put myself through school. I was going to San Jose State for a while, and at times didn't have a place to sleep. But I'm really familiar with hardship in life. Things weren't granted to me on a silver platter. But in 1999, when I started this company, there was a nuclear physicist that was working on heavy water technology, and he was trying to use the water and reformulate it to decontaminate nuclear power plants. And so some of the physicians took note of that, and who knew I left Medtronic and started a new venture. They invested in my company, and they said, you gotta meet with this guy. So finally I met with him, bright scientist, and but the problem was the product was not stable, and it was toxic. And when I say toxic is just by accident, I turned the machine on and I stuck my hand in the water and my skin almost burned. So we had to spend 4.5 years of engineering the same compound, but in a stable form and non-toxic, but yet make sure that its efficacy is not destroyed. So because this product is so unstable. Let me tell you, because I'm at least consider myself a scientist, how we define as scientists the stability, meaning that when we put this compound in a bottle, it can be scientifically stable up to, even in certain cases, 5 to 7 years. We can ship it around the world. In some village in China, somebody can open this, or Pakistan, or in New York, and they deliver it directly in womb bed, and it is still stable. So the challenge of stabilizing this, but yet making sure its efficacy doesn't get destroyed, because it's the most potent antimicrobial agent in the world, and works as an antihistamine and induces rapid wound healing in hard-to-heal wounds. So that was a huge challenge. So in 2003, I remember I was working on my desk, and we had some guys that would walk by and roll their eyes and say, when are you going to stop working on this project? And so I remember it literally was the very last run after 4 years, and I hung my laboratory jacket and gave the last sample to the tech, and the deal was, if it's not working, we're going to shut it down. And the next day I came back, and the technician said, it killed 1 million spores in seconds of contact time, and it did today, and it's stable at least for a few days. And it just, the light turned on, and we all got excited. Just, you know, the baby was born. And so I had this product in a bottle, badly labeled, but it was stable, and I was running around, and I was proud of it. So that's how the company actually started. So
that's awesome. The journey so far has been obviously to get it through the FDA clearances, to get various indications in various different forms, et cetera. I'm not endorsing the product in any way, but I've got to say I've actually had samples sent to me. I've tried the different indications, and I was actually quite interestingly surprised at what I saw, because I've been hearing about the company since its development days, right? One of the things that jumps out at me, though, is the number of applications that you can have for the product in its various different forms. You're now telling me that you're on the verge of commercializing even more versions of the product. Is there some sense that you will see ongoing growth into other areas like this, or have you reached sort of a plateau where, okay, now we're set for some commercialization, this is where we stop?
Personally, I'd like to grow the company, and I'm going to get back to your question on the expansion of microsyn technology into multiple markets, and then we hinted on a few earnings calls before that we are bringing new technologies into the market, new technologies into the company that is going to address multi-billion-dollar addressable markets. So a few years from now, you will see microsyn and microsyn plus, and there will be technologies that probably are not related to microsyn, but they are adding value to the company. So there's a lot going on. But in terms of just microsyn by itself, in the animal healthcare alone, we have more than 30 SKUs in the market. We have diversified from different viscosity, different concentration for vet application for the farmers and so on. In wound care, we have also expanded. But let me tell you, with all this, we actually talked earlier how excited I was about the product launches this month in the United States. That's literally, from a commercial point of view, in my opinion, that's the tip of the iceberg. Your 6 million chronic wounds in US hospitals where we are launching product, there is a much larger market opportunity sitting there that we've been developing a specific formulation for, and that's the surgical market. There are 44 million trauma and surgical wounds a year in the United States alone, and they use liters and liters of saline plus antibiotics. So imagine the quantity of product that the volume product we can successfully replace if and when we get approved for that indication. So the formulation is complete. Now we have started our discussions with the FDA, but I do see larger market opportunities which we can create new formulations so they don't cannibalize, these markets don't cannibalize on each other. And so we change the concentrations, we play with the chemistry and so on.
That's great. So, let's talk a little bit about the perception in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Obviously, you still have your skeptics out there that are
every
still
company
every company should. You're right. That would be better actually than we see now. But we do have a lot of skeptics that really don't understand the product, or maybe are so worried about the science. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a product that has been commercialized. Now let's talk about the business part of the aspect, right? The business aspect is, okay, so when are we going to start seeing some revenue? One thing that jumps out at me, though, too, is how you've been able to take the company from burning so much cash to burning minimal cash comparatively. Talk a little bit about that first.
Okay. Actually, to that point, I am extremely proud because in 2008, we were burning, as a biotech company, we were burning approximately about $18 million a year in cash. So in 2008, when Wall Street pretty much disappeared beneath our feet, we decided to completely reshape the company and go after as many quick approvals as we can, both in US and abroad. Commercialize, number one, before you can start running, you have to learn how to crawl and then walk and then you run. So we had to get our expenses under control. So when you look at 2008, we burned 18 million. This year, for first 6 months, we burned 1.6 million. So we are running the company extremely fiscally responsible. That's number one. Number two is our revenues are ramping up. So the product launches that I spoke about, Eliquis launching in US hospitals this month, Amneal, a large pharmaceutical company, launching our derm product in US dermatology market. Those significant product launches are happening on top of an existing run rate of greater than 10 million. So, we took our burn from 18 million a year down to 1.6 million for the first 6 months of this year. We got to EBITDA's break-even point, quarter ending in September. We are on track. All arrows are pointing toward commercial success for this company. Let me just also talk a little bit about animal healthcare. You were talking about the skeptics, and some people are saying, well, when are you going to generate some revenue? There are two models in terms of revenue generating in healthcare. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. One is drug, the other one is more device. On a drug side, you do, which we're on track, you do years and years of clinical trials in different hospitals. Different doctors, different nurses, they see the benefit of this product, and then they talk amongst themselves. They say, this is doing such a fantastic job, and the more centers you enroll, the more marketing you're doing ahead of the product launch. So when the FDA approval comes in, reimbursement is there, doctors know about your product, and nurses know how to use it. So all of a sudden you have this hockey stick after most of the drug approvals are followed by that kind of a hockey stick. As compared to a device approval, which takes more massive sales force because you're not doing as many clinical trials. You're not enrolling 30 clinical sites and for 3 years having them play with your product and see the benefits of it. So it's going to take a little bit of time. So what we have done is we have stacked these product launches like airplanes at the airport, one after the other. The very first one in 2008, 2009, we talked about animal healthcare. Many people rolled their eyes and said, what are you guys doing, right? So first year, our animal healthcare partner did $5,000 in sales. Second year, 2.4 million. Third year, between 8 to 10 million. And they're still ramping up. And we get 30% of their gross revenue, or net revenue, I apologize, on 90% margins to us. In other words, 90 cents of every dollar that comes goes right to our bottom line. So the way I modified Oculus is that I looked at the strengths and weaknesses of it. The strength is R&D and regulatory. We are not going to raise money and build a sales force and take a risk. So we beefed our R&D and regulatory. We are good at taking these SKUs. Now our animal healthcare partner has more than 30 SKUs. So their website is vetericin.com. They have a store locator, very professionally done. You can put your zip code in. In San Francisco alone, there are more than 124 stores carrying that product. Not only that, they started marketing to 12 million horse owners. Then they went after 170 million dog and cat owners. And Cesar Millan, who's the dog whisperer on National Geographic, now is behind that campaign. But the biggest market, just like in human market for us, is surgical. For them is the cattle industry. How many cattle are there? How many calves are born every year? Their navel has to be washed, their eyes have to be treated for pink eye, and there is no pricing resistance. They are selling some of these units for over $40 per unit in stores, and now they're just launching Petco. So talk about success. Yeah, 2008, lots of skeptics, dilute bleach, are they going to sell? And now we have large partners, great run rate, close to break even and profitable, and I think you'll see a different Oculus in a couple of years from now.
You were watching a presentation, you told me earlier, with Ligand Pharmaceuticals.
I did.
And word by word, a lot of the things they were presenting sounded a lot like you. Tell us about that.
First of all, when I compliment their CEO, he's done a phenomenal job. Just watching their presentation, actually, I was watching a few companies present today, and Ligand was one of them. And you asked me earlier off camera, are there any other companies like you? Your stock is today $128. What should it be? And I smiled and I said, when you look at Ligand a few years ago, and the CEO came in, reduced their expenses significantly, and then added more and more programs and looked at what they're good at. They're good at R&D. So now they have almost more than 50 different technologies and lots of different partners from Merck, like Pfizer and so on. They're funding those. So when you look at Oculus, we're a micro version of that. Today, we have a base technology. We didn't have any sales force. In 2009, you and I, we talked, and some people were laughing, how are you guys going to sell this product? Even my wife was saying, can you guys even afford a local sales rep in our city to go around and sell this product? We couldn't because we were cutting back expenses. Today, just in the dermatology market, just that market alone, there are 50 full-time professional salespeople from large companies that this is not their number 3, 4, 5, but this is their number 1 product that they're going to walk into a dermatologist's office and sell. So you can see now we are taking our microsyn technology, we are reformulating, we are branching out in dermatology, we're going after acute, we are in chronic, we are going to go after acne market, abdominal lavage, UTI, ophthalmology. These are all the markets that we are developing. All the meanwhile, we in-licensed a technology from NIH for endotracheal, is an endotracheal tube with a very nice lumen where you can drip microsyn in to prevent ventilator-associated pneumonia. there's a large unmet need in the hospitals in that area. So now we are bringing new technologies in. Now we are inventing new technologies around microcent and independent of microcent. So a couple of years from now, Oculus will be fully diversified, and my vision is to have significant number of assets. All the meanwhile, fiscally running the company. I want to put that in bold underline, and keep our operating expenses flat, because as these new partners are coming in and ramping the revenues up, then you become profitable. Because there are between you and I, there are lots of profitable companies on Pink Sheet. Just getting to profitability is not an accomplishment. But you want to get to profitability with significant ramp and growth potential. And I think that's what Oculus is right now.
Great. Hoji, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by and talk to us, and good luck and continue.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome.
Okay.